topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Diversity Talk. I'm Wendy Stewart. It's Wendy on Wednesdays, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in here with me tonight. It's hotter than Hades. I'm coming to you live from New York City, and let's see, I have Mr. Fan right next to me, as well as an air conditioner. And it's still, it's heavy. The air is very heavy. If you're in the Pennsylvania, upstate New York, or New Jersey area, I'm sure you're seeing exactly what we're seeing in New York City, which is the skies have become golden. And this is not in the biblical sense. We are getting the smog from the fires that are happening up in Canada, but it is really heavy duty. I mean, we're talking burning eyes, itchy eyes, and it's just not pleasant. I don't like it when it's not pleasant. I want it to be pleasant. But having all of you here with me tonight, of course, is pleasant. Now, up and coming at Triversity, and it's coming in like two weeks, so 2.5 weeks, we are having Pike County Pride. That is on Sunday, August 2nd. It's from 12 to 4. We are going to have a lot of local vendors. And again, we are going to be at knack Park, where we've been the last couple of years. We'll have food for sale, things that you can buy, and I'm producing the show. No, I can't even take credit for that because it's a teeny little show this year. But we are having, of course, the amazing Betty Buttons, which everybody knows Betty Button. She's an incredible talent, and she's been our talent for the last couple of years. So I'm looking forward to her performance, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you there. I don't know, I haven't heard yet, but last year people really liked, we had an activity, which was our executive director, Taylor. You could dunk him. We had a dunking thing, and the teens really enjoyed throwing balls at Taylor and just watching him be dunked and get soaked. But don't get your hopes up. I can't promise that we're going to have that this year. But wouldn't it be fun if we did? Okay. Also, you know what? While we're talking about upstate New York here, I want to give a shout out to Forestburg Playhouse in Forestburg, New York. Had a lovely chat with Franklin, who runs it. They have a whole amazing season of incredible plays. They are very LGBTQ supportive there. We just had an event there with Catskill Pride, which is out of Sullivan County. And that's the organization that gave me the Activist of the Year award. So I love going to Forestburg. And if you can go online, just, forestburg.org, it'll come up right away. Take a good look at the wonderful shows that they have there. And you can get food. The shows are reasonably priced. They're really beautifully produced. And I highly suggest you go there. So there. Okay, speaking of going to places, I found myself at the Rainbow Book Fair, where I had heard about it. And my amazing friend Jezebel, who many of you know, who's written umpteenth books, was there promoting her newest book, Secrets in the Tall Grass. And I met a lot of people while I was there. And one of the wonderful people that I met was very, very interesting to me because they write a certain kind of fiction. And I am personally, I'm into genres these days. I'm into niches, things that are just like out of the box and are just something that would be unexpected. Okay. Our guest today is a bisexual writer and activist, a reviewer, an editor, an author, and known for their queer erotic literature. They've got over 85 stories published since 2021. That is a lot of stories, 75 book reviews, and a blog called Dirty Words. Okay, I just can't wait to hear more. Please welcome Christian Pan.
Hello, Wendy.
How are you?
I'm doing great. I mean, I'm surviving the heat here in Hell's Kitchen, but other than that, I'm doing great.
That's why they call it Hell's Kitchen. Don't you know that?
Yeah, it wouldn't work if it was like Hell's Living Room or Hell's
Hell's Ice Palace. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I have to ask you. So I took those stats. Were those stats that I gave correct? 75 book reviews and over 85 stories since 2021.
It's a little bit more than that now.
Right.
I started in 2020 and just started. I mean, during the lockdowns, during the COVID-19 lockdown.
Right. That was the pandemic. So the pandemic was happening, and you got erotic. Is that what happened? No,
well, I lost my job and I lost my home, and I felt like I was needing something to hold on to and get some kind of structure. And I'd always wanted to do some writing, but I never could finish anything. And someone recommended that I take an online writing course with Tim Cummings, which I want to put a shout out because I blame all of my erotic fiction writing on Tim.
Because Tim led you down the path.
Tim was the one. Tim was the gateway. And but it was really not something I planned to do. I thought I was writing something more serious or more literary because I thought that erotic fiction was somehow a lesser genre, that it was kind of cheap. It was kind of lacking in intellectual rigor or something.
And substance. And I'm glad, first of all, that you're saying this, because you're right. A lot of people, when they hear about that, or we've had lesbian writers on here that use the word sapphic literature. And I've had people say to me, well, what is that? That's not like regular literature. I'm like, this is totally quality writing. So thank you.
Yeah. And I think when I took this writing workshop and we would bring in our pages to be reviewed and discussed by our classmates, everyone said like, oh, it's so physical. It's so sensual and tactile. You should really become an erotic writer. And at first I was kind of insulted or shocked or confused. But then I took another workshop with a totally different project and I got the same feedback with different people. So I thought, okay, there's something.
What was it initially about your writing, do you think? Was it the words that you used or the concept or your characterizations?
I think it initially, and I try to do this throughout my writing, is trying to make the physical actions of what people are doing as specific as I can, so that you can really imagine what's happening in your own mind about who these characters are, what they're doing with each other, with themselves, what they're feeling, so that all of your senses are activated when you're reading it.
I think that that's just great to be able to infuse someone's psyche that way with words.
I try to. I mean, I think writing is like a intimate conversation with a stranger that I'm never going to meet. And I think it's a pleasure to find what are scenarios that I would want to read, that I would like to share, and then try to, as best I can, capture them and put them down on the page.
Right.
But I was, when I started my research of reading erotica, I was not finding that the current stuff was really to my taste. I thought, I don't really understand a lot of these tropes or a lot of these subgenres. And I thought, where are the stories that I would want to read? So I felt like I had to, in a way, go back to earlier writers like Anais Nin or Henry Miller or James Baldwin or others that I feel like are maybe considered more, literary.
Well, those are all classic writers that you just named, you know?
But I feel like that's more my jam. And I thought, well, why? Maybe I can just bring some of that to my own voice, my own writing, and just take it from there. And I literally thought I would just do this for 6 months, just until things reopen, because I was naive. And I thought, oh yeah, this will be done by summer 2020, where it's going to open everything up and everything be back to normal. But it's been over 5 years and I just can't stop writing. I just really enjoy it as a daily thing I do.
But you know what? I love what you're sharing because it's something that satisfies you. And
Absolutely.
anyone who knows me knows I love. There's two things I like to talk about: what AIDS did to everybody and what the pandemic did to everybody.
Yeah,
Because psychologically, they really, really affected me. I carry them with me, and
for sure.
not a bad thing. It's part of who I am. And the pandemic, certainly, Christian, I was in a similar situation to you. I didn't lose my home, but I lost a very fat career and I had to completely reinvent myself. And a lot of us felt like we had no footing. There were
Yeah,
other people, I shared this on the show. I was bitter for all the people I knew that kept their six-figure a year jobs and could work at home. But as creative people, right? Most of us, I feel, got kicked to the curb. So, didn't you use that in such a brilliant way to go after something that you could sink your teeth in? And here we are, 5 years later. This is your reinvention.
absolutely. And I think I joke about it, but it's seriously true that it took a global health crisis for me to become a writer because through Tim in his workshops in particular, I learned how to not just start an idea, but finish it, to rewrite it, to edit it,
Yeah.
to really work it as a thing. Because I think my difficulty was I would read great writing by other people and think, oh, they make it look so easy. And so I thought if it was not just a first pass, that I was somehow doing it wrong, rather than, no, what I'm reading is probably version 20. Like I need to rewrite and rewrite and rewrite,
Right.
and that's what I get to do, rather than somehow doing it wrong or being a poor reader or poor writer. So I think that was so valuable. And
Yeah.
also having a consistent daily practice of just write every day. Doesn't
Well,
matter for how
right.
long.
It's with you. I didn't realize, like you said it, that you're every day that you're writing.
Yeah,
Although it did seem to me you've got a lot of content out there, and that's the way you put it out there. So you identify now as a writer, I would think. I
it's
know you had an acting background. You came from theater.
definitely, yeah. So part of the shock of 2020 was that so much of my work was in live performance,
Right.
and all of it just almost within 10 days, 11 days was just gone. And I was,
I, I wish I had known you then because my whole crew, I didn't know what to do. And my boys were all so savvy on the internet. The next thing I knew, we were producing all these shows, and they're like, when do you need a Venmo? I'm like, why do I need a Venmo? They're like, because you're going to do your thing and then people are going to tip you. And I was like, well, why are they going to tip me? This is terrible. I'm terrible. Why would anyone? But it really helped to have these other actors that we were working together consistently. And then once things went live, we've been making films together. We do live theater. It is really incredible what ended up happening. I wish I had known you then.
well, it's never too late. And
It's never too late, right?
I think like my background is, I guess, I don't know how many listeners would identify with this, but the downtown New York City scene, which is
Yeah.
like off Broadway. You never have enough resources financially, but you
It's
have,
like Theater for the New City, which I emceed there Friday night this year in the Cabaret Room. I've been
fantastic.
there. I'm working with someone that's got a script now from there, and we probably know a lot of the same people. If I love Theater for the New City,
Yeah, I
aren't
bet
we
we do.
best?
I mean, my first theater gig was at the Old Ohio on Wooster Street,
Wow.
La Mama, PS
La Mama.
122, Dixon
Right.
Place. All those places were really key kind of incubators, and they're like my artistic family. And I feel like those kinds of scrappy, resourceful skills, I feel like were very valuable for me in just inventing this writing career, because I didn't really know what I was doing. And I thought, well, whatever I'm doing, I want to have some integrity. I want it to be true to what I'm wanting to be seen as, and then have people read stuff that I think is valuable and worth their time. Because there's so many things they could see, they could read. So I thought, make sure that the content, the actual writing is as strong as possible.
It would have to be as strong as possible. And coming from a theatrical background, I'm curious, with any of the things that you've written, have you thought about turning it into an erotic performance piece?
Not yet. I do think some of them, I think, would lend themselves to some other medium, like maybe cinema or television series, in case anyone's listening to this who's interested. But I do think that right now I'm really enjoying what is possible only in terms of writing, because I think it's a valuable and singular art form, because you really get into the minds of characters just and you can reread it at will. You can read as much or as little as you want. You can dog ear it. You can take it with you on the subway or to the park or to.
I'm a dog earer. I dog ear everything.
It's this wonderful object that we can just carry around with us wherever we go. So I feel like it's right now I'm just really enjoying this kind of newfound pleasure of, like, it's like finding a new toy. Like, what can I do with it? And I feel like I haven't exhausted all the possibilities yet.
As a writer, you will never, and I love your attitude and your freshness that you bring to this, and your discovery of being able to do this. Did you have any inkling of writing when you were like a kid?
Absolutely. I mean, I've always been a voracious reader. My mother was an English teacher. I grew up reading books all the time, and I loved literature when I was in high school, but I definitely felt like those skills were applied in my acting experience. But before 2020, my writing was really limited to an occasional theater review or an interview with an actor or a choreographer, but never could do much more than like 1,000 words. And I felt like I tried some classes, I tried some workshops, but I couldn't ever get beyond that first kind of thrill of like, oh, I'm got this new idea, or maybe this idea, or maybe that idea. And I wouldn't ever just stick with one and just work it through like I would when I would be in a dance performance or be in a new play, where you just work it through. Yeah.
I wonder what it was. I'm thinking, was it Tim's workshop, or was it losing everything with the pandemic? I became another person because I had been married, and my husband passed away basically at the end of the pandemic.
Oh.
I mean, that was like the absolute whammy on that happened, right? So who I am now is, I mean, everything exterior, or people that know me, my personality is all the same, but I changed so much inside. And I'm wondering, for you, all of a sudden something happened to you. You became a different person.
Yeah, I think the circumstances cornered me.
Yeah.
I had to do something. I think also it was less of a interest and more of a necessity, because I felt like if I didn't have something creative to do each day while I'm walking through this uncertain COVID landscape of 2020 and 2021, then I don't know what I would do. I think I would not be healthy and happy and sane now, but it was very unnerving and also very isolating. So I feel like the writing also became a way to connect, because then I can share what I've made to someone else in a workshop or to a friend and say, oh, I'm working on this. What do you think? Do you like it? And getting that validation and that encouragement made me feel like I could go to the next step and say, well, let me just try throwing this up on the internet, see what happens. And then that leads to wanting to put up my first book, wanting to go to my first book fair. And it just kind of follows with more and more one foot in front of the other, really.
Yeah, and that is exactly what you're doing. Was this your first time at the Rainbow Book Fair?
No, I've been there before selling books. And this year I just wasn't able to do that for a variety of circumstances, but I wanted to go. I know a number of the authors and publishers there, so I wanted to just say hello. I also do a number of volunteering events upstairs at the Bureau for General Services Queer Division, which is Manhattan's only LGBTQ bookstore.
Oh, I've gone to readings there. That was going to be my next question for you. I absolutely love that. It's under new ownership now.
Yes, they just got new ownership, so they're now kind of a sibling bookstore with Hive Mind Books out in Brooklyn. Donnie and Greg have moved to the West Coast,
Right.
which is great for them. But Jules is a wonderful new owner, and I just saw them earlier today. They're great, and yeah, I feel like it's a real community center. It's like a place for people to have readings, to have workshops, to have book launches, as well as to find a whole array of books from memoir, fiction, graphic novels, coloring books, anything you can think of. They have
And
it.
the LGBTQ community.
Absolutely.
I saw a reading done, written, both the big book was written by one of the Cockettes, and then other people read it. Somebody from the Sisters of Huckleberry did a reading there. It was really, really great. And I ended up buying the book because, I mean, the Cockettes, what a freaking interesting time in history out in San Francisco. And
Absolutely.
the book reads like a journal, but I love. So are you going to be doing some readings there in the future? Do you have something coming up?
I do. We're going to be launching information on their website about a queer erotic writing workshop we're doing from mid-August to mid-September.
Fabulous.
And I'm also going to have, hopefully, in October, a book launch for the third volume of the Best Buy Erotica of the Year, which is a project I started in 2024. The third volume, which will feature, I think, 19 authors, will be out on Buy Visibility Day, which is the 23rd of September.
I mean, that's so fabulous. You have to keep me in your loop too, because I do attend things there, especially if it's somebody I know. So I can't remember when I was researching you. You said that there was a gap about bisexual people in writing.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a little more?
Sure. I think, at least in my experience, and this is just my observation of me, but I think if one is a woman or identifies as a woman and bisexual, it's considered just an extension of them being a woman or being heterosexual. And if a man identifies as bi, it's like, well, you're not really out yet. You're really gay.
I have really heard this from so many gay men I know.
Yeah.
Right, exactly that. Okay.
And so combined with that, which I've heard for at least 37 years, is also people literally saying, famous figures, historical figures like I'm bi, and then once they are dead, or sometimes when they're alive, being told by the gay, I guess, gatekeepers, no, they're really gay. They're saying bi because it's easier. And I'm like, what do you mean it's easier? You're constantly erasing our identity, invalidating our experience.
Good for you.
Eliminating us from history. And thankfully, there's been more research done lately that's saying that bi people have higher incidence of drug abuse than gay or straight people. They have higher incidence of eating disorders than gay or straight people. So it feels like only recently as there's this kind of recognition that it's a distinct class of people that are different than lesbians, gay men, or anyone else. So I feel like that's encouraging. But I think when I just go to any bookstore, I might see, gay literature or LGBTQ literature, and there might be like a memoir by Alan Cumming, or maybe like some historical piece about Freddie Mercury. But largely it's like lesbian, gay, trans. And I'm like, where's all the bi literature? According to the Gallup poll, we are the majority of the LGBTQ people, and yet there seems to be a real lack of any literature about our experience. So I'm like,
that's interesting. Now, according to the Gallup poll, right? If you didn't say that, nobody would know that, because when we talk, and I get into conversations with people about those letters, LGBTQ plus all the time, because I understand the meaning of having categories and why people have categories. But personally, I've just grown up so open, and my head was never like anyone else's, and I never got what why bi irritated people. I'd hear things like people have to choose which side of the fence that they're on. Well, why do they have to, why does anyone have to choose anything at all? I've also noticed, and I've had conversations with women that are gay. I have noticed many lesbians that I know in the early part of their life were with a man, and in the latter part of their life are with a woman. So where do all those labels fit in? And at the end of the day, can't we all just like be whoever we are and attracted to? Why does it have to like be all chopped up? I mean, Christian, what's your opinion on that?
Well, I think everyone should have the freedom to self-identify,
Right.
and I think um, bisexuality or pansexuality, it kind of introduces by default more nuance than just A or B. It's saying, well, maybe human sexuality is more of a spectrum. Maybe it's not just I only like men, I only like women. Maybe there are people, and according to Gallup, it's 57% of the entire LGBT community are bi, that have a more fluid, dynamic, changing.
I think it's enlightened, it's enlightened perception of a human being, and it's taking away the boundaries. Those boundaries are so, to me, constricting, you know?
True, but I mean, I don't want to elevate my identity by putting down others by saying like I'm more evolved. Like it's more of just I want the same respect for identifying who I am, like any gay man, gay woman, straight woman does. I think kind of automatically, but I think historically there's a sense that bi people are kind of like a joke. They're deceptive. They don't know what they want. They're kind of unreliable. They're confused. There's all this negative baggage on top of the queer phobia, homophobia that often gets combined with that. And I think that's why, as recent studies have shown, that a lot of bi men are turning to alcohol or drugs for solace, or perhaps bi women are turning to restricting eating and body dysmorphia and anorexia for some kind of control. So I think there's a lot of things we don't know yet in terms of research, but I think anecdotally, we're just as queer as anyone else. And I think it's opening up more conversations about, well, what are these terms? Because language, we know from our Constitution and our Bill of Rights, like language is a way for us to get power and to get the law. Like, what's the language that we use to determine anything? Like the use of those words is debated from, between two lovers to a community organization to the media to a law firm. So it's like the language, I think, is really crucial. And I think writing plays a really important role in that, just like community organizing and self-identification plays an important role.
Yeah, absolutely. But you've brought up a lot of things here, and I've had a lot of experts on LGBTQ, on trans, on sapphic women, on. I had a really incredible person that was at your book fair about gay men and how they're blocked. That was so unbelievably enlightening. So you're making me think somebody out there should really be analyzing bisexual reactions to it, why society has those reactions to it. You just brought up a whole hornet's nest of things, drug use, alcoholism, women having body dysmorphia. These are very negative things. And honestly, I never thought about bisexual being connected to that. Obviously, talking to you, you've done your homework, and it is. We need to get an expert on here that's studying that right now. Because I love exploring things even more because people then come to self-realization. But don't you feel like by having bisexual characters in the things that you write gives people a happy place, a place they can identify with, that they can find comfort?
Yeah, I think I think imagination is
Imagine.
maybe the most valuable space we have to explore everything. And I think um, I try to find ways to just begin with my own experience or those of people I know, or maybe rarely like inspired by something I've read that is like an article or something. It's mostly just trying to start with my own experience and that of other people, not to do autobiography, not to do some kind of how-to manual of here's utopian sexuality with Christian. It's really just like here's what I'm observing in terms of its joys, its frustrations, its discrimination, its pleasure. Try to put all of that into the writing because I think sometimes there's a self-censorship that can happen with erotic writing in particular about what is allowed to be put on the page. And I try to just push up against that as best I can.
Why is there a perimeter of what's allowed to be put on the page? Is there a line between erotic writing and pornographic writings? Just for
I think it's a mixture of things. I think part of it is a lot of erotic writing now is self-published, and so one is trying to follow community guidelines, which are driven by algorithms by hugely powerful corporations which do not have a face that we can dialogue with. And so you do not want to put up your writing that might cross that boundary because then your entire catalog will be shut down in a flash. So then it becomes like, well, how do I paint within the lines so that I put out a pretty good erotic story, but I have to be very, very careful that everyone is over 21, even though most human beings have sex starting at what, 14, 13?
right.
Everyone is always sober, conscious, consenting, even though most sexual interactions involve alcohol and or drugs, and sometimes is messy and does not involve enthusiastic, explicit consent. So there's all these kind of like off limits topics.
Yeah.
But it's fiction, it's not real. But we're also in an era where people literally can't distinguish between fact and fiction, as we see in our broader politics. So it feels like, who is this writing for? Like, what is this writing supposed to do? And I think for some, it's almost like a reverse engineering of how can I just have the proper tropes combined in such a way to make the most sales in the first month. And I'm always like, but what's the story that you want to tell? Like, what do you need to express? I mean, maybe it's old fashioned, maybe it's the difference between being a writer versus a creative. But I think there's a real value to ignoring all that online algorithmic noise and just write a story that you want to read. Because I think that's what gives it endurance. I think also there's a kind of, I think some erotic writing still kind of strays from having anything that is too realistic if it includes negativity, even though I think there's so much cause for inspiration that I find about fictional characters having sex or sexual encounters amidst a world that's on fire. I think that's really relatable versus
absolutely
another billionaire with their private mansion on East Hampton with their private jet and private helicopter and private. I'm like, I don't relate to any of that, but I feel like a lot of it is assumed to be the standard. So I'm like, I want to talk about everyday people, regular people who are struggling to pay rent, have childcare, are divorced, have mental health issues, go to AA meetings, and they're having lots of wild sex in the 5 boroughs. Like, I feel like that is more my...
That's totally realistic. But you said something earlier that I'm going to go back to. It's like the algorithms, and you're a writer, you want to sell books. And I think people can, and I don't fault them for this, get caught up in selling books, right? Like, how do you sell books? And if you're not self-publishing and you're lucky enough to get an editor and a publishing house behind you, then, you know, the pressure is on, right? You have to create within that criteria. And I think that's going to be a little frustrating.
Well, I think it's depending on the kind of pathway one wants to go. I mean, I I'm lucky because my life is not seeking to be only reliant on fiction writing for my income. I make more than my expenses as a writer. I self-publish. I've been published in other small presses. I love doing it, but I don't want to spend 50 hours a week on all the social media platforms trying to promote my new short story, my new book launch, my new
really
whatever.
hard,
I
right?
feel like I need time away from it to live life and enjoy whatever I'm doing. That's how I am. But others are like, this is my job. Like, I really need to find a way to make $6,000 minimum per month just on this self-published writing. And that's a very different kind of model. But I think what models are true for each individual is often confused. It's similar to someone who think, like when I was an actor starting out in the 90s, it was like, well, you got to just get on a cruise ship, take whatever job you can.
I know all those people. They're my friends.
Whereas I'm thinking, but I want to stay working on my own work and live downtown. And they're like, what? There's no money in that though. And I go, I know, but the rewards are beyond just the income. It doesn't mean I don't care about money. It's also just what price do I have to pay to get that paycheck? Because if I'm just doing acting for money, there's so many better ways to earn money.
Oh my God. Are you kidding? There isn't a day that goes by that I don't say, I can't do this anymore. And I would never do that because I'll always find something that pays and it's but the amount of garbage that has come down the pike, I'd rather be a dog walker. I am so not kidding you. It's so bad, especially since the pandemic, right?
And I think also just even before the internet and social media kind of changed our human consciousness, like so many writers that I love that are hugely popular, they said, yeah, it took me like book 7 before I could quit my day job. And that was back when is a very different media environment, really popular genres, no restrictions online, nothing, but just competitive and putting your book out in the market. So I feel like this notion of in 6 months, I'm going to be able to quit my job and just make my living on self-published bisexual erotica is like, that's a nice dream. But I think realistically, it's like, it doesn't have to be the only measure of success. I feel like success is that I get to meet people through this writing. I get to write about whatever I want. I mean, there's also the flip side is that because it's not my full-time income stream, I have a lot more freedom to do whatever. I can experiment. I can do weird detours from what I typically write or my main kinds of styles of writing. And that's all really satisfying, just like any kind of artist who's able to just, they have the bills paid, so they have the stability to then pursue the kind of imaginary work that they seek.
Yeah, but that, you know what, that is the best of both worlds. And again, that's what works for you, you know? And I mean, talking to you, I can tell you're satisfied. I don't get that frustration. It's very satisfying what you're doing. Now, your newest book is called Arousal. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Sure. So this is so a lot of my novels started with short stories that I write, publish them online, and then I just leave them alone for 1, 2, 3, 4 years. And then I just look at them again and go, oh, that's interesting. Let me just add.
Wow, you go back.
Twice the page length and combine it with this other story, change the characters' names, and then suddenly I'm off writing a whole other thing. So this one is about these recurring characters I have that are both bisexual identifying, that live in New York City, and they have a house guest, and they're going out to meet some people later, and they just kind of blend daydreaming with reality and hopefully blurring the lines in a pleasurable, arousing way.
Right. Pleasurable, positive, and arousing way.
Very fun. Just very a summer diversion.
I like that. And you feel that, of course, these characters, they're relatable characters.
Yeah, they all have jobs. They all are, it's hot. You know, the air conditioner, you need to stand close to it to get cool because it's so hot inside the apartment.
Well, welcome to my world.
Exactly. So There's no private jets. There's no helicopters. There's no none of that bling. It's really just about the people.
Yeah, it's about the people. How long did it take you to write this particular piece?
I mean, I had the raw material available, so probably took me another 3 months to rewrite it into a way that I felt like was satisfying and could be read by someone that I don't know.
Right. and have them like it. I'm sure like that's got to be in your head. What is going to be relatable to my readers, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the fun thing about writing too, which is different than a performance, is that it's just, as they say, evergreen. Like it's up there on the shelf. People can order it, read it whenever they want. And that's always surprising to me. Like something I wrote 5 years ago, someone will buy today. And I'm like, how do they even find that? I'm not advertising that. I don't know how they came across me or this title in particular, but great. I hope they enjoy it.
And how cool they totally unearthed it. I have so many writers come on this show that I don't have the time, half the time, to read their works before they come on. So I'm looking at my pile over there. I call it the after the fact pile. And the books are they're really good. And I'm so happy that I ordered the book. And I let the author know I'm not going to get to it to this go around. There's just, you know, when you're interviewing authors, there's just so much.
Absolutely.
Right? Now, you also Stockholm Syndrome. Can you share what that's about with us?
Sure.
That.
So this is, play on words. It's set in the Swedish capital, just in the days before the midsummer, which if anyone has been to Scandinavia, they know that in Sweden, June 21 is a huge cause for celebration. It's the longest night of the year. They have the most daylight. Because Sweden is up north of mainland Europe, it has more sun up until after midnight or 1 a.m.
Yeah, land of the midnight sun. That's why they call it that.
Yeah. So the my main protagonist, Katarina, is a Swedish bisexual woman who works as a nurse. She's also a few years clean and sober, and she gets intrigued by this young woman who comes into her meeting named Greta, and they have some interactions as well as with some of her fuck buddies, her ex-husband, and then this party on the archipelago. So it's just, a really delightful story about a variety of different people doing all sorts of things, but also grounded in Stockholm, which I've traveled to and visited many times. So I wanted to make.
I was going to ask, what was behind? First of all, I love things that are set in exotic places, so I figured you had some kind of connection.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I've been there many times over the years. I have a number of friends and loved ones there, and I just think it's a really interesting, different kind of place. So I wanted to evoke those specific neighborhoods and streets, and at that time of year in particular. I just followed that impulse through and wrote it down.
And there you have Stockholm Syndrome, which won an award, the Passionate Plume Award.
Yes.
I love that award. That's so great.
Thank you. Yeah, I try to submit to places. There's not that many, but I try to submit my work to places that might have some kind of recognition like that. I also volunteer to be a reader, judging other people's works. And it's really fun because I feel like I learn more about what's happening outside my own little bubble. I think it's so tempting to just stay reading and writing my own little stuff, but I find it's healthy and inspiring for me to read other people's work, try to find out what's going on.
And their process. Now, you are going to read something for us tonight.
Yes, if I may. So this is from this short story collection called Dirty Words. Cover art is by the amazing Robert Flint. And this is one of my most popular titles. I have no idea what's going on, but I guess I caught the magic on this one. So this is from the first story, which is called Steam.
Love it.
After walking through the front door, the first person I saw was Tiffany, standing behind the reception desk and offered me a friendly wave with one hand while I dug my membership ID card from the front pocket of my sweatpants. A tall Amazon with thick blonde hair whose long limbs seemed cut out of nothing but lean muscle. She was talking to a couple of other muscular dudes before saying something out of earshot that made the three of them crack up. All of them wore loose tank tops that shouted, "Randy's Gym," on the front in big red letters. By the time I reached the desk, I picked up a fragment of their conversation. My guess was they were talking about an upcoming bodybuilding contest next month, probably the one out in Vegas. I paused at the desk, and Tiffany turned towards me as she casually raised one of her slender fingers in these guys' general direction. I smirked as I watched these two beefy specimens of man meat instantly shush like a pair of well-behaved puppies. She scanned the barcode of my ID with a handheld laser and then offered me a beaming smile that could cut through the defenses of just about any man, gay or straight. "Back for more, huh?" she said, checking something on the desktop monitor in front of her. If I were straight, I think this would be Tiffany flirting with me. But my gut told me that this was nothing personal, that she just oozed sex and innuendo with everybody. Nodding politely in return, I smiled as I gave a shrug with my palms turned up. "Hey, I'm just doing what's good for the community," I joked. I then made my voice sound like my idea of a Neanderthal. "Because if me don't flex muscles every day, me gets grumpy." "I can relate to that," she laughed, then gave me a wink. "I need it at least every day, too. Have a good workout." "Thanks." Tiffany resumed her convo, and I immediately vanished from her mind. Past the front desk, I grabbed 2 fresh towels from a nearby table, then went to the fountain to fill up my water bottle before leaving the perimeter and entering the giant open space of Randy's Gym. I saw that one of my favorite machines was free, so I figured I'd start with my chest and upper back, see if any hot guys are out, also pumping iron tonight, and go from there.
So I immediately, you painted an incredible picture. I saw David Barton's gym in that.
Yes.
That's exactly what I saw. It's very descriptive writing, and there you definitely have a feeling you want to know what's next. What's going to happen with Tiffany? What's going to happen with the guys? And it's really good stuff.
Thank you so much.
Made me wanting more.
Well, you know where to find it.
Right. And that's what that's what you want your reader to do.
Absolutely. Let them want more. That's kind of like my rule of thumb.
Yeah. So this is in your blog. It's called Dirty Words, right? How often do you post in your blog?
So I don't publish that blog anymore. So the best way to find the book reviews that I do would be either on my Instagram, which has my link tree, or to my Patreon page.
Yeah. What made you stop doing your blog?
Well, I was using Wix, and they just started charging me for no reason.
Right, because that's what they do.
And so I had a dispute with them, and they were very heartless. And so I then went to my bank, and then in the middle of this, I guess, resolution or reconciliation, they just took down my entire website. And so I lost all my content and just had to start over.
Okay, that is just like awful. Totally.
Yeah. So all the fiction that was there, I have copies of all of those, but I don't have copies of all the book reviews and artist interviews, which I'm sad about. But I thought, start again. If anything I've learned in life is
you
can restart your day at any time. So I thought, just start over. Like, glad I'm not working with them anymore. But yeah, I'm an anti-Wix person.
And good to know. I'm glad that you shared that. Love talking to you. What do you have coming up that we can look forward to?
I mean, the main thing I'm doing right now is editing and formatting the Best Buy Erotica of the Year Volume 3, which will be out on September 23rd, which is by Visibility Day. And that's the main thing that's occupying the best parts of my morning. And
would you say in this area of erotica, you're the person? You're one of the people?
I would.
You're the man.
I would let others make that determination respectfully, but I'm happy to be at least part of the conversation. Absolutely.
Right. You like being part of the conversation. I learned a whole lot from you, that's why I do this show, right? Because I have the kind of mind that just absorbs everything, and I'm continually curious, and I have to feed it. So you just opened up a whole other area. You have to let me know when you're going to do a reading at the LGBTQ Center.
I will.
Are you scheduling something like that next year?
I mean, I'll definitely do something like that in the fall after the Best Buy Erotica is published. So yeah, whenever it comes out, it'll be on the newsletter, and I'll be posting about it to everyone I can think of.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. And I can share it on my page too, which would be super fun. All right. The hokey thing I like to do before I say bye-bye to my guests is I take a picture of us here, because I don't know how to do it on the computer, so I have to hold the camera up. Thank you. I'm so glad I met you at the Rainbow Book Fair. If you have any friends, colleagues that you think would like to be on the show, and if they have things coming out, I love promoting people's stuff. I really do. That's what it's about, right?
Absolutely.
That's why we do what we do.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody who tuned in tonight. Thank you, Christian. And yeah, we will all be in touch. See you all next week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.